All right, so that's another loaded question. So net worth, right? Everything's a trade-off.
Right.
If somebody comes to us and they have got what it takes, we're going to do whatever it takes to get them the dollars they need to run the business.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so, but if somebody comes in and they are lacking in a specific area, specifically sales and recruiting, we need to see a much higher net. It's not necessarily net worth, because net worth is worthless, right? You can't really take net worth and buy anything with it. So we look for cash on hand. How much liquid do you have available? What's your credit like, and how much can we get you? And so if it's somebody that's a little bit on the lower end, we need to see a higher amount. And so all in investment to get this thing up and running is anywhere from 150 to 300 and some odd thousand, 360,000 to do it, depending on the market size, and then depending on how just irresponsible, I guess, you are with your with your investment. We've had some people invest lots of money to open one of these things up, and sometimes that happens because, again, the hubris comes out and they want all new stuff and everything, and before you know it, you're at 400 grand and it's an issue. Right. You can start this business for under $365,000 in almost every situation.
Now the chatter out there wants to know, for that kind of an investment, do they get a hat? Do they get a Lincoln hat?
That's an additional $70,000, depending on your head size, of course. We have a tiered program with your head size.
Oh my goodness. Jason, in all seriousness, how does somebody get a hold of you if they are interested in buying your brand?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I unless it's later on, can we talk average unit volume before we start talking contact info?
Sure,
that's what you guys are all here for, right? I mean, everybody's watching this. We're not running a charity here. And our average unit volume for single location in last year's FDD, $2.1 million average. So if you're watching the show, any of the millions of viewers out there, if you're average, if you view yourself as average, that's kind of what that gets you within our company here. And of course, we have to approve you still and all that. So hopefully you're not as average as you think you are. Top end, we can talk top end here. Last year, our top performing franchise location did $6.8 million of revenue. Single location franchise. And spoiler alert again, check back on next year's FDD. I bet you those numbers are going to be higher. But again, so that's what's possible. I'll quote oh gosh, what's his name? He was in Boiler Room. Shoot, flubbed the joke, so never mind. That's what's possible. Let me tell you what's required. I think it's the line from Boiler Room. Anyway, Ben Affleck is his name, by the way. Ben Affleck. Anyway, so that's average unit volume, and that's what's possible here. On the low end, you're looking less than that, but don't be there, or you're going to end up going out of business because you'll die from stress.
Yeah. How long do you think it takes the average person, once they start their franchise, to get that 1.3 million?
Oh, that's a
profitability.
Yeah. So our goal is to be cash flow positive in month one.
In what?
In the first month.
Wow, that's pretty good.
If we don't, we haven't done our job.
Yeah, excellent. That's great. Yeah.
Well, that's where those validation calls come in to really help people. Be able to talk to you and stuff. So that's excellent. So can you tell our listeners what the best way is to get in touch with you if they want some more information?
Yes, I can. So there's a couple different ways. First off, hit up our YouTube channel. Just get on YouTube, Honest Abe Roofing Franchise. In the search bar, you'll find us. Like, subscribe, do all the stuff that you need to do. We do have a video on there that is we're going to have to call us, or you're going to have to get yourself vaccinated, because we're going viral. We made a parody video last year for our Christmas party of Mike Lindell.
I saw that.
We call it my shingle. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, it was great. I was just
funny.
laughing my butt off over here.
I appreciate that. Yeah, good stuff. So all you viewers out there, get on the YouTube and watch the video, please, and like and subscribe. So that's one way. Best way, in all seriousness, is go to roofingfranchise.com or honestaberoofingfranchise.com if you like typing. Either way, they'll take you to the same place. And just click one of the 10 million forms that are on there. Fill it out. One of our franchise advisors will reach out to you and start the process and see if this is right for you and see if you're right for us. And if you are, it can truly be a life-changing thing for you. The franchises that do well, I know them personally, and it's changed their not only their lives but their future family trees.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so it's possible, but again, nothing that is
for free, right?
Yeah, nothing that has this much potential is easy. It's simple. It's very, very simple, but it ain't easy. So those are the best ways to get a hold of us: LinkedIn, Facebook, all the other.
Awesome. And we'll of course have it all posted on our website for you too, with all of the links. And I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And I am really interested in having you back on over this next year when your new FDD comes out. Let's talk about the exciting changes that you've made in it and some of the new numbers and things, and specifically what markets you're going to target for growth and things of that nature.
Perfect. Excellent.
I'm always available. What are you guys doing next Thursday?
We'll be right here.
We'll be right here.
Hey, cool. Same link? Same link? All right. I'm here.
So I'll be here.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
Thank you so much, Jason. Have a great day.
I'll be here, but next Thursday is Thanksgiving, folks.
I forgot to mention my great friends that I met this week down at the show, and I'm not on video right now because something happened, but I have to get a shout out to my new friends over at Snapology. And if you could see me, you would see that I have this really cool alligator that they gave, and they are a new STEM style type of business for kids, and it's kind of like a Lego, but it's not. It's Snapology is a cool new franchise, and I have to give a shout out to my dear friend Keith who helped me put it together because I don't do directions. And even though the box said for 5 and up, I was not able to do it, and I think that's why they do it with your kids at Snapology. So thank you to you guys over at Snapology, Jeff, and oh my goodness, Mr. Barker, I'm so sorry, Josh. Thank you for my little alligator. Elizabeth, are you on?
I am here. There we go. So up next, we have some really exciting news. Jerry is having quite a big week this week. So he is going to come on and discuss the launch of his book. And I'm going to tell you where you can find it now, and then we'll remind you later on in the show. If you go to liveittownit.com, which is liveittownit.com, you can order it today. You can order it on Kindle to download digitally, or you can order a hard copy. I did both. And then he's also launching The Joint, his location in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, on Saturday at 10 a.m. next to Buff City Soap. So Jerry's got a lot of things to discuss. We got all excited when we had our meeting last weekend about his book launch, and there's all that information is also on all of our social media and on his website, liveittownit.com. So stay tuned. Here comes Jerry to share all of his excitement. He's probably wiped out.
He probably is. Jerry! Oh, I see you, Jerry. We're going to get you on screen very soon. I got to tell you, I started reading your book as soon as I got my email on my flight home yesterday.
Well, you have to tell me more, Kristin. You can't leave it at that. I mean, did it put you to sleep, or did you learn something, or what?
Well, let me just say, the book did not put me to sleep. It was like the 2 o'clock in the morning on the alarm clock that put me to sleep. But I have to tell you, my favorite part, what I found so engaging, is the part where you were a little boy and you wanted to play in the MLB and the baseball glove. So let me tell you, and this is a real story. So first of all, that was my brother, right? And he did get to go play for the Cardinals. He played AAA for them. And so that story really struck me. The Boys Life magazine struck me because I was Cub Scout leader for many years. I was like, oh my God, it's Boys Life. I remember those. And I grew up on those country dirt roads. So when you talked about riding your bike that country mile, it's truly a mile to the next house. I mean, it just resonates with people, what you went through and how your journey started in working hard to seek out what you wanted.
Well, you know, I think all of us have a journey, and it's got to have a beginning and an end. And I think for many of us that are franchisees or entrepreneurs overall, it started with stories similar to that, you know, where we had that first business, whether it was a paper route or working in a grocery store or a gas station or whatever it was. And I did many of those things. Mm-hmm. But the first one was when I wanted that baseball mitt so that I could start my path to Cooperstown, which of course, you know, took a different path, but it was an experience. And as I shared, I don't know if you got to, you probably didn't, but in the virtual book launch yesterday, I talked about, you know, growing up in that situation, you learn work ethic, you learn self-reliance, you learn problem solving, you learn a long list of things that serves business owners really well as they move forward. So that's where it all started, Kristin.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited. Tell us some more about the book and the journey. I was reading the oh gosh, here I am with my words again, but the beginning, we'll call it, about your co-author as well. And he's got some interesting stuff. You always talk about him writing in the pointy end of the plane. And so that made me laugh because he called it just that as he did his, was it the prologue? My daughter would kill me for not knowing that word.
Well, Dr. Jeff Kaplan is really more of a brother to me now after 6 years of working on this project, and some other things we're going to be rolling out here shortly associated with it. And the bottom line is he became a world-renowned keynote speaker and thought leader, and works with some of the largest companies in the world. I won't mention them. There might be some privacy issues, but literally Fortune 10 companies, Fortune 50 companies. And so he spent several years truly riding in the pointy end of the plane, the expensive seats that most of us don't sit in very often, and going to, you know, Russia and France and Germany and all over the place for working with these large groups. In the meantime, he wrote 4 best-selling business books in conjunction with other people. So he's extremely well-read and educated, understands the business world. But this whole franchising thing was a new animal to him. He will admit that he looked at small business and franchising being a part of that as you know, not big business and everything that goes with that, because he really got kind of comfortable riding in the pointy end of the plane and being in very expensive hotel rooms and eating with the, you know, the finest cuisine. And so it was eye-opening and a little shocking to him to realize that in the franchise world, you can own multiple locations and you can turn into a fairly large business over a period of time. Yeah. And so this whole process has been a learning process for him as well. Literally every day when we talk, I teach him more things about the franchise industry. I just did that this morning. Had a sit down with him to debrief after the book launch yesterday. And we were talking about things that he's never even considered that came out of that. So yeah, very good stuff. The book, you want to know more about it? You know, the book, I hear so many stories, and certainly I heard them when I was doing business consulting, but now that I've been a franchisee for a long time and worked with franchisees in a lot of different systems, I hear so many stories of failure. You know, unfortunately, we don't celebrate successes in the world as much as we should. We talk about the failures. And failures for me are learning opportunities so that I never go down that path again. But for some people, they're catastrophic. And you have, you know, people that put their life savings into a franchise that maybe wasn't suited for them. Maybe they made a bad decision and so on. And I heard so many of those stories, and it just tore my heart out because franchising has been so good to me and my family. Right. And so with my experience and background and Jeff moving along with me to help co-author it, it felt like the right time and the right thing to do to write a book that helps people as they're analyzing, first off, if they should be a franchisee or not.
Yeah.
Secondly, how to choose a franchise that best suits them. What are the warning signs and what are the things they should consider? And it leads them all the way through the process. It talks about Discovery Day, where you meet your new partners, the franchisors. It talks about, how to make decisions about real estate, how to hire people, how to build an organization, how to do marketing for, guerrilla marketing and those types of things to help build your business, all the way to what's your exit strategy after you've been doing this for a while. Do you have a second generation, your children that want to come in, or why, or maybe your general manager, you want to turn that over to them or something like that. And it's literally a journey. It's boots on the ground, grassroots, right down in the mud and grit and dirt. About that path. And our goal is to save people a lot of misplaced money by buying the wrong franchise, and to expedite and make simpler their process to where they're cash flowing and making profit and living a little more comfortably and getting rewarded for their efforts.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, and I was really fortunate to work with somebody great when we bought our business, but certainly when David and I work with people to help them determine, again, not only if franchising is right for them, but what franchise brand is good for them, is we do a survey to kind of see, sometimes people have these hidden things about themselves. And we ask questions like, do you like working with people? How many people is the right number of people? And you ask all these questions to kind of get an idea of what type of personality are they? What size of business do they want to have? Do they want something that they want to be working in every day versus something that they just want to manage from afar? And that's that whole, like I was talking to Jason at Honest Abe, right? Making sure that you are like a matchmaker, right? You got to find that missing piece to your puzzle and make sure that when they're investing their life savings into a franchise, and we know franchises are wildly more successful in the first 2 to 5 years than a regular entrepreneurial business is, because there's a proven model. But it has to be the right model for them. And it's not a one size fits all. You don't just say, oh yeah, that franchising is good, because there are so many different models out there. We do have somebody on the line who wants to know why you went into franchising.
Well, I had owned parts of many businesses, a couple of them wholly, but many of them I was a minority partner in when I was doing business consulting. Sometimes that's what happens. You end up with part of a company because of your involvement in it or something. And I love that. And I could run my own business without any help, ran a multi-million-dollar company in that time frame. But the fact is, franchising it's just so much easier. When you take a company that you put under your wing and you start it from scratch, it's all you. 100% of the time, it's you. You got to do everything in that thing. When you buy a franchise, the franchisor's got most of the details worked out. They line you up with suppliers. They line you up with a design for your new establishment if it's a retail type. I mean, so much work is done for you. And it's, in my opinion, much easier to ramp that up into multiple locations. In my case, multiple brands now. The two brands that I'm primarily interested in right now, Great Clips and The Joint Chiropractic. I don't cut hair and I'm not a doctor. Now, if you want to open those things and you're just an entrepreneur, you need to be licensed in one of those two areas. But in this case, I do not need to do that. I simply need to run the business, understand the business side of it, and hire great people to do the technical side. And by the way, most of those technical people don't really want to run the business. They don't like the business side. Yeah. So it's a match made in heaven where I can bring my expertise in business to it and not have to understand the technical side of it other than just how to manage technical people. And they bring the technical side and they don't have to ever look at a spreadsheet, deal with the banker, insurance company, or state again.
Right. Yeah, and don't you find like that's the best part about understanding? We talked very early on about the only way I can be successful and have 4 Molly Maid territories is that I know where my weaknesses are, right? And you have to identify what am I really good at and what am I not so good at. And whoever you hire to be your partner or your management team, they need to fill in where you're not strong or in those areas that you don't like. And that's how you're able to expand and grow.
Right. And to add on to that, many people, even if they're really good, if they want to become a franchisee and they're great at the business side, there's still points in the business side where they may not be comfortable. Maybe it's hiring, maybe it's real estate, maybe it's marketing. And when you're part of a franchise, you get tons of support from the franchisor in those areas. So again, they've written the map. They've got it all down. They will lead you along the path and support you. So if you've got niches where you're not good, you get support even from that side.
Yeah. And I love the franchise community. I mean, we didn't talk about that, but the franchise community in general, whether it's your brand or a brand similar to yours, there are so many great groups out there. But, our brand is good. Molly Maid, we have, well, at one point we had 15 owners here in Chicago that you can trade, ideas with. And I know you talk to your Great Clips people all the time, and the Joint's talking to everybody all the time. And I mean, that's really the beauty of having that. And you're all going through the same things. So we have another person who wants to know, what are the top 3 reasons people fail at a franchise?
Well, I'll tell you number one,
Mhm.
and number one's really easy for me. Number one is they pay for a franchise and then think they're smarter than the franchise that they bought, and they start recreating it in their own image. They should have gone out and started their own business instead of buying a franchise.
Yep.
The franchise system is semi-bulletproof if you do it their way.
Yep.
But I see it time and time and time again where they buy it, they recreate it, and then they blame the franchisor because it doesn't work, when really they need to look in the mirror. So that's, in my opinion, the number one reason. Number 2 goes back to why I started this path with the book. You have chosen the wrong franchise, because there might be 80% of the franchises out there that would be great for you, but that other 20% is not, and you may very likely fail. And that may not be your fault. It might be because of the franchisor.
Yep.
So being able to, again, the book talks about, how to judge some of those franchisors and the warning things to look for and the questions to ask when you meet with them. So choosing the wrong franchisor, I think, is number 2. And the third one, and this will happen with any business, not just franchising, being undercapitalized, not having access to enough cash. So when you take out a bank loan to open any business, but in this case, a franchise, make sure that you have either a line of credit beyond the original loan or extra money in that loan to handle cash flow, because most franchisors can give you some kind of an idea based on the FDD when you should reach break even and start making profit.
Yes.
And then it's just a math equation. If you need, 6 months or 8 months or 12 months of cash flow money, figure out what all of your costs are, take it times that number, put a 10% fudge factor on top of it, and add that to your loan.
Right.
And then manage it the way that you budgeted it. Don't use it for other stuff, only for those things. And by golly, you won't have trouble with capitalization with most franchises if you do those things. Top 3 reasons.
Yeah, I agree with all those. I think there's a lot of ways to make sure that you choose the right brands. I mean, all 3 of the additional territories I bought were the wrong fit, every single one. And the undercapitalization, Ray talks about it a lot of times too. And for our models, we found that whatever they tell you need, it's 2.5 times, right? That's just how our model has worked. The other key component to that, when you're buying a franchise, one of your critical steps is to call and validate with other owners. So in the validation process, that's when you take your business plan. That's when you take all the information that you've gathered from the FDD and you call people that own those franchises and you say, listen, I built my business plan. This is what I have. Does that sound right? Is that in line with what you experienced? We took the FDD and it gave me the cost for workers' comp insurance. Well, let me tell you, that was Michigan workers' comp. I'm in Illinois.
Right.
Times that by 3, right? And those poor saps in California, take the 3% and add another, 1.5 on top of that. So there's a lot of things that when you're buying a franchise, the models are fantastic. The support can be great, but there are still nuances. And it's really important when you're building those plans, on top of using the FDD information, you've got to reach out to owners. And if you find owners in the validation process that don't want to talk to you, owners that are kind of sour, owners that ask the question, would you buy this brand again? And if they say no, that is a genuine large red flag.
Well, you hit it on the head with the validation process. I'm a validator for Great Clips, and I like to give it to them straight. You know, there are many things that brokers don't talk about when they're selling a franchise. Not always intentionally, maybe it just doesn't come up in the conversation. And those things can be a big surprise. And if you've already bought the franchise, they can be devastating surprises.
Yeah.
So the validation process is a chance where you get to talk to people doing what you are going to be doing. And they've been doing it a while. They face the same battles you're going to be facing. Theoretically, they can keep you from maybe making a bad decision, but at the very least, they can smooth your way through that process by explaining the roadblocks you're going to run into, how they got around it, some best practices, those types of things. So in fact, what I do, most validators may not do this, but I offer my email. And if they choose to move forward with that brand, I tell them, get a hold of me and I'll happily, kind of walk you through the next steps and be a sounding board when you run into trouble. But in reality, Kristin, the book is designed to fill a lot of gaps for a lot of people going through that process, because not all franchisors are created equal. Some of them will not give you as much support as I think they should. So I'm trying to make up for the gaps where they're not doing it. And hopefully, if things keep moving forward, we'll have our learning platform up shortly, and that'll give franchisees or potential franchisees access to unlimited information related to franchising.
I can't wait. I'm tearing through that book. And for those of you out there, just a reminder that it's Live It, the number 2, Own It by Jerry Akers. And it is a very easy read. I mean, I love it because it's not complicated. It's not over technical. And it's just, as you are, Jerry, it's just straight talk, very conversationalist. So hopefully you all can get out there and take a look at the book. You can download it in digital, you can order it in paper, whatever your preference happens to be. And I thank you for sharing it. And I can't wait to see the digital platform that's coming, because we're looking to really take a good hard look at that. And we want to go ahead and make sure that we mention next week's guest. Well, next week we have our Thanksgiving show. I can't believe it. I'm still stuck thinking it's September. That's how time flies. You know what I mean? Start traveling around and it's like, holy cow. So we have Pete First of Bright Star Care. And I think I met some of those folks down there in Orlando. And he will be on our show, and we wish everybody a really happy Thanksgiving. Don't forget to check out Jerry's book again at Live It, number 2, Own It, Live It to Own It. We want to thank Jason for coming on from Honest Abe Roofing, Jason Revere. And we also have to make sure that we share, make sure that you all share and comment on this episode. We know that some of you watching on YouTube, we had a technical difficulty on there. Hopefully the other platforms are still rolling right along. We'll get YouTube back up, and next week's show, or last week's show that didn't air, should be fixed here hopefully by the end of the week. You'll be able to watch the Live from Chicago show. I'm Kristin Selmeczy, your 4th $1 Million mentor, and together we are your resource for franchising. We wish you all the best.